The Galactic Sentence. The great chamber of the Galactic Council was built to inspire awe. Its walls were covered in crystal panels that shimmered with starlight, and its ceilings rose higher than any cathedral. Here, the rulers of 1,000 species gathered to pass judgment. On this day, their voices rose not in unity but in fear. The name of the accused echoed across the chamber. Humanity, delegates whispered nervously. Claws tapped on stone tables, tendrils shook in unease, and even the most powerful empires avoided eye contact. For years, rumors had spread about the humans of Earth. They were not the largest empire, nor the richest, nor the most advanced, but they carried something in their hearts that unsettled the galaxy, an unstoppable will. A silver-skinned chancellor stood, her voice amplified by hidden speakers. Humans are reckless, she declared. They spread into the stars with fire and defiance. They fight not only with weapons but with spirit, and they do not break as others do. This cannot be allowed to continue for the safety of the galaxy. Humanity must be exiled, outlawed, erased from our councils forever. A roar of approval swept through many of the delegates, but some remained silent. One elder reptilian leaned toward his aide and whispered, "They ban the humans now, but they do not understand. Humans are not so easily broken. They will not surrender. They will rise." The gavel struck the crystal podium, its sound sharp like thunder. The words of the council became law. By decree of this chamber, the species known as Homo sapiens is hereby banished from galactic society. Their colonies shall be dismantled, their trade forbidden, their fleets denied. Any who shelter them will face the same punishment. Humanity is outlawed. Gasps filled the hall. Some species celebrated, believing they had ended a threat before it grew too powerful. Others shifted nervously, wondering if the council had just awakened something far worse. Far away on the blue planet called Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Children asked why their people were hated. Workers clenched their fists, soldiers sharpened their blades, and leaders sat in silent rooms, their faces grim. The council thought humans would accept defeat. They believed humans would bow their heads and fade quietly into history. But they did not know Earth. They did not know the fire that burned in the hearts of Deathworlders. In hidden shipyards deep beneath oceans, engineers worked without rest. In underground bunkers carved into mountains, weapons were tested in silence. Across colonies long abandoned by trade, secret signals pulsed in the dark, messages that carried one meaning only: prepare. A lone alien scout recorded strange readings near Saturn's rings. Colossal shadows moved in the gas clouds, too large to be natural. His transmission ended mid-sentence, his ship vanishing into static. The council never received his warning. Back in the chamber of judgment, the chancellor smiled with pride. "The galaxy is safe now," she declared. But the elder reptilian shook his head slowly. "The galaxy is blind. They believe they have cut down a tree, but in truth, they have set fire to a forest." The sentence had been given, the decree sealed. Yet across the stars, something ancient and unstoppable had begun to awaken. The council thought they had ended humanity's story, but in truth, they had just written its beginning. Darkness spread across the void of space, and within that darkness, Earth's Deathworld armadas were already rising, silent, patient, and waiting for the day they would return. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the council's judgment was not the end. It was the spark. And soon, the stars themselves would burn with the fury of humankind. Shadows of steel deep beneath the waves of Earth's oceans. Vast chambers echoed with the sound of hammers striking steel. The world above looked peaceful, ordinary cities glowing with lights. People walking their streets, but far below, humanity was building something the galaxy could not imagine. Colossal shipyards stretched like underwater cathedrals, their walls alive with machinery, their ceilings trembling from the birth of warships. The first shadows of steel rose from these secret forges. Silent warships, black as obsidian, emerged from the hidden docks. Their hulls bore no names. No symbols, no colors, only darkness. They were not built to be admired. They were built to terrify. On Mars, beneath endless red deserts, another fleet took shape. Gigantic caverns carved by human hands became the womb of iron leviathans. Engines were tested in silence, their power shaking the planet's crust. One commander watched as a vessel lifted slowly from its cradle, its cannons the size of city towers, its armor thicker than any empire's flagship. He whispered to himself, "The council thinks we are broken, but this is only the beginning." Rumors spread across the colonies. carried in hushed whispers. The armadas are rising. Merchants claim to see black shapes moving beyond the asteroid belts. Miners swore they heard the thunder of engines in forgotten tunnels. But none dared speak too loudly. The Council's agents listened everywhere, and anyone caught spreading human secrets vanished into silence. Yet the truth could not be contained forever. A lone alien freighter stumbled into the shadow of Neptune. Its crew stared in horror as a massive Terran warship drifted past. Silent, unmarked, its surface glowing faintly with strange energy. It did not fire, it did not chase, it only watched. And that was far worse. The alien captain sent a frantic warning to the Council. But by the time his message reached the core worlds, it was already too late. In the hidden command halls of Earth, leaders studied maps of the stars. Every system where humans had been betrayed, every world where humans had been mocked, each one was marked with a burning red symbol. Not of surrender, but of vengeance. The galaxy laughed at humanity's exile. They called Earth the forgotten world. They said humans were finished, scattered, weak. But in the shadows, a storm was building, and that storm had teeth. An admiral stood before his crew in a vast underground dock. Rows of soldiers saluted, their eyes burning with fury. He raised his voice so it echoed through the steel walls. They banished us, they outlawed us, but they cannot erase us from this day forward. We rise as Deathworlders, and when the galaxy hears our engines, they will know fear. The warships roared to life. Engines shaking oceans, mountains, and moons one by one. Fleets rose from the hidden forges, vanishing into the black sea of stars. Each vessel carried the weight of exile, the fury of betrayal, and the unbreakable will of humankind. And still the Council remained blind. They celebrated in their crystal halls, declaring victory over the primitive humans. But in the void between worlds, steel shadows gathered, their silence more terrifying than any war cry. The galaxy did not know it yet, but humanity was no longer pleading for a place at the table. They were building a throne of their own, forged in secret, born of fire, and soon the stars would tremble beneath the march of Earth's armadas. The Council's mistake. The Galactic Council chamber was filled with celebration. Delegates raised their voices in triumph, boasting that the human threat had been erased. They drank, they laughed, they spoke of peace. But beneath their arrogance, cracks of fear had already begun to spread. Whispers came from the frontier worlds, ships vanishing near Saturn, merchant fleets reporting shadows larger than moons drifting through asteroid belts, scouts sending half-finished messages, static, silence, then nothing. The Council dismissed it all as rumors, but the rumors were too many and they grew louder every cycle. An insectoid delegate slammed his claw on the table. "These are not lies," he shouted. "Something is moving in the dark. We declared humanity outlawed, but they have not surrendered. They are preparing for war." The chamber erupted in chaos, half mocked him, half fell silent in unease. Reports arrived that alien spies had seen human fleets. Black ships that bent light around them. Cannons that split asteroids like paper. Engines that burned without fuel. The kind of technology no outlawed species should ever possess. How could they build this in exile? One delegate cried. They should be broken, starving, desperate. But the truth was simple. The Council had underestimated humanity. They thought exile would destroy Earth. Instead, it united them. Instead, it gave them purpose. In secret halls far from the Council chamber, some empires began to panic. Generals whispered of Terran war fleets larger than any coalition. Ministers spoke of weapons that could erase cities in a single strike. Yet the Council leaders silenced them with pride. "They are humans," the Chancellor said coldly. "Brutes of a death world. Savages with no discipline. We hold the galaxy. They hold nothing." But even as she spoke, far away, Earth's armadas moved in silence. Entire fleets trained in empty voids. Weapons tested in dark systems. Commanders studied alien tactics. Learning every weakness, they were not wild. They were not broken. They were patient predators. One alien convoy discovered this truth too late. As their ships crossed a quiet star system, the stars themselves seemed to vanish. From the black of space, Terran warships appeared. No warning, no demand, only silence. A single blast shattered the convoy's flagship. The survivors drifted, terrified. They swore they had seen human ships move faster than light itself. But their testimony never reached the Council. Their distress signal was swallowed by the void. Back in the Grand Chamber, An elder delegate rose, his voice low, trembling with dread. "You believe you have caged a beast," he said, "but in truth you have cornered it. And a cornered beast is the most dangerous of all." His warning was drowned in laughter. But far beyond their shining halls, the beast was already awake. The Deathworld armadas were not waiting for permission. They were sharpening their claws. And the galaxy would soon learn the price of the Council's mistake. The judgment they thought would bring peace had only lit the fuse of war. And in the shadows, the countdown had already begun. Rising Deathworld armadas. The void above Saturn trembled. For months, shadows had moved in silence, concealed by rings of dust and ice. Now, one by one, they revealed themselves. Warships black as midnight, each one larger than any alien dreadnought. Engines roared, shaking the void, and the first Deathworld armada awakened. Their hulls bore no banners, no emblems, only the scars of exile. Every vessel was forged not in pride, but in survival. They were weapons carved by desperation and rage. Ships with armor that bent plasma, cannons that glowed with power stolen from collapsed stars. They were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. On Mars, fleets erupted from underground cradles. Their engines burned crimson, reflecting the fury of a world abandoned. From Europa's oceans, submarines rose, transforming into warships as they breached the surface. From hidden colonies near asteroids, wings of smaller strike ships joined the storm. The black armadas gathered, thousands of vessels aligned in perfect formation. Not chaos, not desperation, but order. Cold, deliberate, terrifying order. In the control room of Earth's flagship, the Admiral stood before his crew, his voice calm, yet each word carried the weight of destiny. They called us outlaws, they banished us to the dark. But now we rise not as beggars, not as victims, we rise as Deathworlders, and when our armadas march, the galaxy will bow or burn. A silence followed, broken only by the hum of colossal engines. Then the warships moved, slowly at first, then faster. The stars themselves seemed to flicker as the Terran fleet spread like a tide. Rumors swept across the outer colonies. Merchants claimed to see black shadows crossing trade routes. Pirates whispered of entire systems going silent overnight. Even powerful empires felt the tremor. One governor reported a fleet of human warships passing beyond his world. "They did not attack," he said, his voice trembling. "They only looked at us, and that was worse than any invasion." Inside the Galactic Council, panic finally broke through arrogance. More reports arrived. Fleets sighted near Neptune, fleets rising from forgotten colonies. But the Council still argued, their voices drowning in pride. "Impossible," the Chancellor snapped. No outlawed race could build such fleets. Yet deep down, even she felt the cold hand of dread. The galaxy realized too late that the humans had not begged for forgiveness. They had not asked for a seat at the table. They had built a throne of iron in the shadows, and now their armadas were moving, not to plead, not to join, but to claim from every corner of Sol. The Deathworld armadas rose together, engines burning, cannons ready, the stars lit with their fury, and the galaxy, for the first time in 1,000 years, knew the taste of fear. The dawn of reckoning. The galaxy had always known fear, but never like this. From the far edge of Sol to the broken moons of Mars, the sky itself burned with the engines of Terran warships. The Deathworld armadas had risen, and now they moved as one. The first fleet appeared at the border of alien space, thousands of vessels emerging from the void like a storm breaking through the night. Their cannons glowed with unnatural fire, their armor swallowed the stars. They did not send warnings. They did not demand surrender. They simply advanced, silent and unyielding. On a council world near the frontier, alarms screamed through cities as shadows blotted out the sun. Children looked up in terror, elders wept, and soldiers froze at their posts. For above them hovered a Terran flagship so massive it eclipsed the sky. Its hull was black steel, its weapons pulsing with restrained fury. Every breath, every heartbeat on that planet waited for the first strike. Inside the council chambers, chaos ruled. Reports flooded in. Fleets vanishing, worlds surrounded, outposts silenced. Delegates screamed at one another, blaming, denying, pleading. But it was too late. The sentence they had given humanity had become their own. A lone transmission cut through the storm. It was from the Terran flagship itself. A human commander appeared, his face carved with resolve, his voice steady. "You declared us outlaws. You believed we would kneel, but we do not kneel. We rise. And today, the galaxy will remember the cost of your arrogance. Then the cannons lit the sky. A single barrage ripped through an alien dreadnought, splitting it apart like paper. Shockwaves tore across the void. For the first time in centuries, the most powerful fleets in the galaxy retreated. Not from numbers, not from technology alone, but from the raw will of humanity. The will that refused to break. On a dozen worlds, Terran ships hovered in silence. They did not slaughter civilians. They did not burn cities. They only made their message clear. We are here. We are strong, and we will never be erased. The galaxy trembled. Empires that once mocked humans now whispered their name with dread. Even the council itself sat in silence. No one dared strike the gavel again. No one dared repeat the word outlaw. Humanity had returned, not as beggars, not as victims, but as rulers forged in exile. The Death World armadas had risen, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. The final image blazed across the stars. The Terran flagship, its cannons glowing like suns, its engines tearing through the void, and the commander's voice quiet but eternal. You feared our rise. Now you will face it.